This is the Mercedes GLC 400. How good does it stack up against cars like the BMW iX3, the Porsche Macan or the Audi Q6? That's what we are going to find out today, because this is my full review and we're going to cover a lot of details. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start.
It's only electric.
I have been waiting a long time to get hold of a GLC, an official GLC from Mercedes, a press car, because this is the only one and it's a queue. But finally, here it is. It's a mid-size premium SUV measuring 4.85 meters with a wheelbase of 2.97. So I would say it's probably the biggest in its class. So comparing it to a BMW iX3 or the Macan or the Q6, it's actually 10 centimeters longer. The one that comes closest is the Volvo EX60, and that's still 5 centimeters shorter. Curb weight, this is a heavy car. So almost 2.6 tons. And it's riding on a fairly big battery pack, NMC pack from CATL with a gross capacity of 100 kilowatt hours and a net capacity of 94. So very closely spec'd to the Zeekr 7X when it comes to battery capacity. The official range, the WLTP range for this exact setup is 633 kilometers. And that's a lot. It's equipped with night package, AMG line, so bigger rims. That goes perfect with this high-tech silver color combination. I think this may be the best pick if you go for night pack, etc. Really good looking car. GLC 400 is equipped with 2 permanent magnet motors, so all-wheel drive. One motor here at the front, one at the back. Combined power output 360 kilowatts or 489 horsepower, 800 newton meters of torque. It does 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds and does have a top speed of 210 kilometers per hour. And since it's the AMG line, you get the AMG rims, 21-inch staggered setup, so 235/45 here at the front, 265/40 at the back. Goodyear Eagle F1 tires, so to the sportier side to be able to cope with all that torque. I'm really happy when I see a GLC on the streets, because I think it's really kind of going back to Mercedes' legacy when it comes to SUVs, especially when you're looking at the front here, a very flat front compared to the soapy shape you get on the old EQE or EQS series. This is to the better side and more Mercedes-esque. And that's good. I think that's what the customers actually want. And the grille, instead of having an open grille, since it's fully electric, you have illumination everywhere. So pixel design, all illuminated, a very big central star and a front-facing camera for the 360 view. The grille is also blacked out since this is the night pack. Just in between you have illumination, so a ring. It really makes the grille glow during nighttime. The lower parts, this is more AMG line specific, kind of an organic look, very soft flows, but at the same time aggressive. So I would summarize the frontal design like classic aggressive. I think you know what I mean. Lowest part, a air diffuser or a front spoiler in black piano finish, active air ventilation, active flaps for cooling the electronics when necessary. The lights, this is the digital lights, extra equipped with those, and a Frunk. So you open it from here, 100 liters of storage capacity. That's really convenient. Let's look at the charging. The charge port is powered and placed at the right rear fender with a DC charge capacity of 330 kilowatts, 10 to 80% in 22 minutes. And this is on a 800 volt charger. And you can't charge it on a regular 400 volt charger if you don't extra equip the car with a 400 volt converter. This one has it. Costs extra and it eats up a lot of boot space. But with that equipment, you can charge it everywhere. Home charging, 11 kilowatts as a standard, 3-phase support. Extra equipment, 22 kilowatts for some faster AC charging, home charging, or shopping mall charging. That really makes a big difference. I wish that would have been standard equipment. There has been many debates about not supporting 400 volt as a standard. What do you think about that? Is it really necessary supporting 400 volt, or is 800 volt widespread enough to feel confident when road tripping? I'm a bit torn. I'm not sure. I think you will be fine with 800 volts only. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? 800 only, or would you go for the 400 volt converter? And whilst on it, many of you, or actually most of you, haven't subscribed to the channel. Subscribing to the channel is the best way of supporting my work. With more subscribers, I can do more cool stuff, cover more interesting topics for you guys. So please subscribe, also like the videos, and as I said, engage into the comment section. It's equipped with rails with a load capacity of 75 kilograms. A big air spoiler, and now to one of the more exciting parts of the GLC. I love this angle, the rear, especially the wide band design hiding the tail lights, and with the big Mercedes star hidden inside. Also double acts as a opener or a handle for the boot. You also have this AMG line details, the black details you see here at the lower parts, kind of an air diffuser. Looks, as I said, classy, aggressive. And when it comes to the practical aspects, it does have a kick sensor. I rarely use it. Storage capacity, 570 liters here at the back, companioned by the extra 100 in the frunk. But that 570 liters is if you don't have the DC converter here. So that one actually takes up a lot of space. So probably 40 or 50 liters of that 570 disappears into the converter. So you still have a dual floor setup, and you still can hide the Porsche shelf divider underneath the floor. And foldable seats split into 3 parts, 40, 20, 40. And I think that's really mandatory in this price class and in this segment. You can fold the seats from here. There's buttons, one on each side, and it folds. It got stuck. Come on. Yeah, there you have it. It folds fairly flat, and if you have the floor in the lower position, you will of course have a load lift further into the cabin. A 12 volt outlet. You have some cargo securing hooks, and since this is equipped with the air suspension and the rear wheel steering, you also can lower the car for easier or more convenient storing or loading and unloading. Maybe one of the more important facts, it comes as a extra equipment with a electronic folding or unfolding tow hitch with a staggering tow capacity of 2.4 tons. Let's check out the interior and the back seat. As always, the front seat is adjusted after my driver position. I'm 6'4" or 193 centimeters tall. Headroom, no problem at all. 1 fist of extra headroom before touching the glass roof. That's really convenient. There is no way of changing the angle of the back seat. That's something I expect in this premium class. Legroom, my knees are touching the front seat. I have a hard time sitting straight. My feet is possible to squeeze underneath the front seat despite having it in its lowest position. That's good. Knee room not as impressive. When it comes to the rear bench, is to the shorter side and not as supportive as other cars can be. So not the best rear seat experience, to be honest. Let me close the door. Frame doors. Of course, a very solid door closing sound. Nice material, so cushioned, even here at the top. Built-in ambient lighting. Nice touch and feel to these. The regular door lever for opening the door. The controls for the powered windows. Really nice quality on those too. You have seat heating here at the both outer positions. Pocket for storing a phone or cable. Central armrest. If you single press, you will get a holder for a phone or tablet. If you press it slightly again, it will unfold the two adaptive cup holders. It's a nice solution, cushioned, fairly good position, a bit to the higher side, I would say. 3 individual headrests, all are adjustable height-wise. You see the cushioning, it's soft, not super soft, not super plush. It's a bit too much to the front, so it gives me a bit of a not that good seating position actually for resting my head. Ambient lighting or reading lights here at the back, and also in at least the 2 rear positions you have grab handles, not any one for the front passenger. That's a bit strange. A good back seat when it comes to quality, fit and finish. When it comes to interior space here at the back, it's actually lacking. It is not as big as, for instance, the Model Y. It's not even close to a Zeekr 7X. It's a very big difference. It's more in line with the Macan, probably slightly smaller than the BMW iX3. I need to check my old videos, but it's not a super impressive backseat when it comes to space. The midsection consists of 2 manual air ventilations. You don't have any air vents in the B pillars. A small storage area, probably the mechanics or housing for the 3rd climate zone. This only has 2 climate zones. You have 2 USB-C ports just underneath that, and of course the panoramic glass roof. Now it's dimmed because the heat is, it's a bit too much sun, so I want to protect the cabin from overheating. But a really nice panoramic glass roof, especially with these star patterns. So to the front, and let me start with one factor here. It's hard to give you guys a proper view of the GLC. The main reason for that is that it's really hard to understand the different packages and the equipment. For a starter, this specific car is extra equipped for around 30,000 euros. First thing you see is the Hyperscreen, so 39.1 inch Hyperscreen. That's of course not standard. So 3 individual screens, or this, 1 big, beautiful Hyperscreen. You have a head-up display with AR graphics. That's also not standard. Some cars in this class tend to go towards digital air vents. Here you don't have that. You have totally normal manual air vents. Dual Qi chargers, that's also not standard. By the way, they are ventilated. Really happy about that. Just below the Qi chargers, you have a small control panel. Most further to the left, you have the dynamic select, which is the dry mode selector. You have the park assist activation button. You can turn on and off the screen. You have the hazard lights, voice activation, volume toggler, and a mute function for the media system. So conveniently placed shortcuts for the things you use most of the times. If you continue downwards, you see here the panel, the striped panel. This is also not standard. You have 2 cup holders, adaptive. These are standard. And armrest cushioned and plenty of storage. There is no light in here or no charge points. You have a hole for sticking through cables. That's good. Underneath here you have another storage compartment with a rubber strap for securing things. You have 2 USB-C ports, plenty of storage actually. I like the sturdiness of it, can really not move it around. The instrument panel feels a bit narrow and it's really not deep, and that's good because that gives you more cabin space, of course. Soft touch, really nicely incorporated ambient lighting, and ambient lighting is something that Mercedes really enjoys because they do it really well. It also acts as kind of a sense. So for instance, it can act on the parking sensors, which means that if you come close to an object on the left side, it will get green, yellow, then red, depending on how close you are to the objects. That's clever and helps your senses to understand. You don't need to look at the screen, you see the color around you. To the steering wheel, this is the same steering wheel as you find in the CLA, but not the first year model of the CLA. This is the updated steering wheel, so you get the rocker to the left for controlling the speed limit on the highway. To the right, you also get a volume knob compared to having the haptic touch buttons that you had before. And this is the version with the flat bottom, which I like, which I prefer, because it really makes up for some more space when entering and leaving the car. The door panels, soft touch on top as in the back. You have the classic control of the seat as you have in all Mercedes cars. You have really nice quality on the power window controllers. A really classic control panel. I like that. All the convenient things are like gathered at the same place. You also have a child lock for the rear windows and doors. All in all, I like the cabin. I like the look of it. It can sometimes, in some places, be a bit too plasticky for the price class. One thing that I don't like is this. I mean, this is not a sound I expect from a Mercedes, especially not a C-Class. I think it should be a bit more sturdy. There's something vibrating, maybe the new buttons inside the steering wheel, I'm not sure. But this is small things that can annoy me at least. I mean, you get a Hyperscreen and the resolution is fantastic. The graphics is so nice. The seamless flow between the three parts of the screens is really fantastic. The features and the functions of the updated M-Book system is great. It takes some time to get used to, but you have a lot of things like applications, native Spotify, you have Android Auto, of course, wireless, Apple CarPlay, wireless, DAB, FM radio application, for instance. You can download other apps. You have terrain functions if you want to go terraining, park assist views, a lot of features and functions. You have streaming capabilities like YouTube, Disney Plus, etc. So software-wise, it's really evolving. It's really getting better, and it looks good at the same time. Sometimes things in the menus can be a bit hard to find, at least at the beginning, but as soon as you get used to it, it works really well. And there is more features than you see from the beginning. So it keeps growing on you and you find new things. As I recently said, it's really extra equipped. So it has the AMG Plus line. It has the Premium Plus package, which brings the Hyperscreen, but also brings things like the panoramic glass roof with the incorporated stars, illuminated stars. And you can actually dim. There's a function for changing the dimness of the glass roof. You have a clear function which lets in all the light. You have an opal one that dims it, and then you can do a motif which is half and half. So it creates a pattern where half of the roof is actually letting light in and the other half is blocking the sun from heating up the cabin. So it's a nice feature, and I think it's really necessary on such a light or light emitting glass roof. Another thing that's included in that Premium Plus package is the Burmester sound system. So 19 speakers plus 2 tactile transducers placed, one in each front seat, which gives you the 4D feeling. So this is the most premium system you can get in this GLC. So it's not only the Burmester sound system, it's Burmester 4D. And the 4D is these two components that shakes or actually translates the bass into kind of a shaking or feeling in the back. So it emits the sound into your backbone and enhances the feeling of the music. That's the 4D part of it. And 710 watts. Doesn't sound much, but it's an incredible sound system. It's probably one of the best sound systems I have ever tried. So it's competing against the best sound system like Volvo's B&W sound system, Bowers & Wilkins, and also Zeekr's Yamaha sound system, also a really nice sounding system. It's to the warmer side So the bass is really nice, warm and punchy, together with this feeling in the back seat, in the backrests of the seat. But at the same time, you get a lot of details. And you can customize it in many ways for your favorite type of music. But it's a very versatile, it's a very nice sounding sound system. Right out of the bat, you don't need to do anything with it. It sounds good from start. Even in high volumes, it doesn't distort, it doesn't break, it keeps playing. To the last thing before testing the driving dynamics, and that's the seats. This is the AMG sport seat, so also not standard. It's Nappa leather, perforated, massage, heating and cooling at the both frontal positions, and really nice massage. This is not the lumbar support massage, it's shiatsu mechanical massage, so a bit to the harder side, which I really prefer. Thigh support, manually extendable, but I don't care about that. Doesn't need to be powered. It's very easy to extend it. It extends really nice. The seat angle really gives me super nice support. I must say that it's one of the best seats. I think it can be the best seat in this class because it's so supportive. It doesn't have super much bolsterings on the seating position, but the bolsters here at the backrest are really hugging you and giving you a nice support. Not too much, not too sporty, but still sporty with a nice comfort. Headrest, I think it's placed okay for me. You can adjust it depth-wise, and since it's high, you don't need to adjust it height-wise. So all in all, nice seats, and of course, as always, as I said at the beginning, the controllers are at the door panels. They also come with the kinetic setting, so if you press the seat icon here, you have all the controls for it. You can save 3 different positions. That's also extra. Doesn't come as a standard. And you have the different massage modes. You have the kinetics, and the kinetics is the setting you use for like long trips to not get exhausted or tired. It kind of helps your body to keep in shape and keep energized. So it does small movements all the time, small adjustments on the seating position to make you more like not too static. I like that function. And then you have digital adjustments for the lumbar. You don't have any lumbar adjustments here, so you control the lumbar on the screen, and you have a dual axis lumbar, so both height-wise and depth-wise. Let's drive and start with the driving dynamics. The suspension, it's equipped with the air suspension, 4MATIC, taken from the S-Class, and it's a very soft and comfy suspension, I must say that. And with the air suspension, you also get the rear wheel steering. So it can steer up to 4.5 degrees. And the steering works that way that in slow speeds it steers in the opposite direction from the front wheels, which means that you get almost 1 meter of shorter turning radius. So 0.9 meters less, which makes the car more agile on cramped areas, and parking lots, when parking, etc. Very convenient because it's a fairly long car, almost 4.9 meters, 4.85. So that helps out a bit. In higher speeds, it turns in the same direction as the front wheels, which means that it adds stability, for instance, when overtaking or when driving it a bit harder. Back to the air suspension. It does have active dampers, so it adjusts the dampening depending on the road conditions, which makes it change during a drive. Even if you have set it to stiff, it changes and adapts to the situation you are in. Another thing is that it's equipped with R2X, which means that Mercedes cars communicate via the cloud. So it uploads data in real time and downloads data in real time. So it gets updates on road bumps, for instance. So when it sees a road bump on a certain place, it knows that beforehand and adjusts the suspension depending on that road bump. In theory, at least. I haven't seen any specific effect of that, but it's a really clever solution, and it's made by Mercedes themselves, and it's only for Mercedes cars. So clever, soft, and really silent suspension. That takes me into the drive modes. We have a couple of drive modes. We have a toggler here in the mid console, as I told briefly just a moment ago. You have comfort, sport, eco, individual, and terrain. And there's actually, if you switch it over to individual and customize that, there is actually two different suspension modes, comfort and sport. So comfort, as it sounds, is really a Mercedes suspension. It's very soft, it moves, very floaty, a bit of a boaty feel. It's a lot of body roll despite being very direct. The steering is super direct, and you feel that the rear wheels also steering because it's really agile, but a bit too much body roll for my taste. So I switch it over to sport, and it gets stiffer. It does not get sporty stiff because the dampers are not activating that feature, because it's not necessary given the road conditions, and I'm not pressing the car that hard or pushing it that hard. So with that said, it still lowers the body roll amount a lot. It's a lot stiffer, it's a lot more firm and more straight when turning, more to the side I like, but still it's comfortable. It's still not sporty, and compared to, for instance, the BMW iX3, this is not even close to that. This is so much more comfortable, so much more sophisticated, but of course not as sporty. So if you're looking at the sporty drive feel, this may not be the perfect car for you. This is a blend between comfort and sportiness. But with that said, you can still push it. It's still very quick. I mean, 4.3 seconds, almost 500 horsepower. It's still a quick car, so don't get me wrong, but you can't push it the same way in corners as you can push the BMW iX3. Compared to other air suspensions, for instance, the Zeekr 7X, this one is better. I like the Zeekr 7X. I own that car myself, but this feels a bit more fine-tuned. It feels a bit more premium. And it feels like it adapts better to the road conditions, and in comfort, the 7X tends to be too soft and can't really manage to catch up the weight of the car. This one does that. And the drive modes, as I said, you can adjust 4 different things. So the drive, that's the drive unit, the outputs, you have eco, comfort, sport. Put to eco, you really need to floor it to be able to get some feedback. Otherwise, it's really almost frustrating, almost holding you back. You need to floor it for something to happen. If you switch that over to comfort, it's more granular, because in eco you need to, I mean, the first like 80% of the pedal gives you the same kind of slow acceleration, and in sport, oh, it's a big difference. It's very immediate. It's this neck-breaking acceleration, and you feel the power. You feel those 800 Newton meters of torque. I think it's 800 straight, and it's plenty of power. Even with the softer suspension, the dampers wakes up and gives you that support you really need without being uncomfortable or too sporty. So this is really a sleeper when it comes to performance. You don't feel it. You don't feel that you have it until you really floor it. It's a nice feel. And that roaring, by the way, is the AMG sound. That's extra. It's not included, but I like it. It's kind of organic sound, a hum or a roar, not like an artificial combustion engine sound. The next setting, if we jump over suspension, we have talked about that, is steering. You have two modes, comfort, sport. Comfort, way too soft for my taste, gets a bit undirect. In sport, it's a bit stiffer, feels a bit more direct and easy to handle or easy to understand. The ESP, comfort, sport, that's nothing I play with that much. And now on some gravel roads, if we put the suspension into, it's still in sport, and I must say that sport mode of the suspension is really kind of jack of all trades, since you have the active dampers. Never feels uncomfortable, and it's very silent. It is very sturdy. It's a quality air suspension. And to gain some efficiency, Mercedes have put in a second gear, so it's a 2-gear setup, drivetrain, which of course with an automatic gearbox. So the second gear is for higher speeds, for gaining efficiency, and it kicks in between 70 kilometers per hour up to 120, depending on how hard you push it, the accelerator. So the harder you push the accelerator, the later it kicks in, and the more you feel it also. Most often on highways, when you do a steady and slow acceleration, you won't even feel the second gear kick in. But if you press it a bit harder, you will feel it kick in, and you really feel that there is a gear shift. Another thing they have done for the efficiency is that the air suspension lowers at higher speed, so about 100 kilometers per hour. It lowers the suspension to reduce the air resistance, and therefore lowering the consumption too. And it also feels better to have the car closer to the ground in higher speeds. It feels more safe, it feels more stable. To the next very important part, that's the regen modes. This steering wheel does have the paddles, so you can switch the regen mode with the paddles. So to the right, you decrease the amount of recuperation, and now it's set to no recuperation, it's total coasting. If you press it again, you will enter the mode called intelligent recuperation. That's the adaptive one that many other car manufacturers call it, adaptive recuperation. It adapts depending on the traffic situation. So if you have cars in front of you, it doesn't coast. Then it starts braking or adding recuperation, regeneration. If you don't have any car in front of you on a highway like this, it coasts to preserve energy. For me, I mean, first off, it works really good. I don't have any complaints about the function as such. But for me, I never use adaptive recuperation because I have a hard time adjusting my mind to it, because it isn't linear, it isn't behaving the same way all the time. You really need to learn when to use the brake and when not to use the brake, which makes it a bit hard, because sometimes it brakes harder, sometimes softer, depending on the distance of the cars in front of you. You still need to brake at a traffic light, etc. So it's a bit too much adaptation for me, for my taste. When you press it to the left side of the paddle, you get into normal recuperation, still very weak and strong. That one, I like the strong recuperation, and it does have one pedal drive, so it comes to a full stop. So we have all the settings you could wish for when it comes to regeneration or recuperation. Mercedes has really done a great job here, maximizing the utilization of the different possibilities that comes with electric cars. I wish I could have showed you LCC or self-driving assist function, but unfortunately that's not standard. So for some reason, Mercedes, the Swedish division, didn't put that into this press car. Really surprises me, because that's one of the first things you want to add to a car. Another thing that I miss is the 360 view. The 360 camera, I've seen that the cameras are all there, the hardware is in place, but the software is not active, because that's also extra. This is a bit annoying, because both the self-driving function and the 360 camera, that's one of the first or at least the most important functions I would go for. So I have been driving the GLC for a couple of days now, trying to use it as much as possible to be able to provide you a good image and understanding of the car. It's a great package. I mean, the drive feel is so much more comfortable and sophisticated in a way compared to the BMW iX3. I was a bit surprised how stiff that one was. This is more what I wished for. I prefer the driving feel of the GLC. And I also prefer the exterior because I think it's more a Mercedes. Even if I don't dislike the iX3, but my pick would be the GLC. What disappoints me a bit though is the backseat. Surprisingly small, I must say. I was expecting a lot more legroom. I mean, this is a big car. It's 10 centimeters longer than the iX3, but the iX3 still have better backseat when it comes to space than the GLC. That's a bit strange. Compared to my 7X, it's night and day of the space you have at the rear. Very strange. I guess it has to do with the long hood. It's more of a classic look, and Mercedes then wants to go for, I mean, keeping that proportions. I also would have wished for some better materials in some cases. For instance, I don't want the steering wheel to rattle. I don't think that's okay. It's a bit too much plastic in some situations, and that goes for most of the Mercedes cars actually. And I think that's a way they went to save weight and maybe be more environmental friendly. But still, the car weighs 2.6 tons. It's a heavy beast. And you feel that, especially when you run the suspension in comfort. It gets a bit too, like, boaty. Another thing that disappoints me is the extra equipment situation. I mean, the starting price, right off the bat, it costs 769,000 Swedish crowns or 65,000 euros, depending on the country you live in. This car, this equipment, cost 1,066,000 Swedish crowns. So that's probably around 95,000 euros. That's a big difference. 65 to 95 to add equipment. And things like 360 camera, the 400 volt converter, the LCC functions, the drive aid systems. That's things you should get as standard, and those should be included in the base price. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I guess this is more a matter of strategy. But my pick among the BMW iX3, the SQ6, the Audi, the Porsche Macan, and this Mercedes GLC, I would probably go for the GLC. It's of course depending on the price. I would probably not spec it this high because it gets too expensive for my taste. So I'll try to at least add the things I said, like the 360 camera, a tow hitch. I will also add the LCC functions, etc. What's your thought? What do you think about the GLC? Is this the best pick in this segment, the premium SUV midsize segment? Let me know in the comments below. Share your thoughts, ask me questions, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and hype the video. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.